Hello again, my lovelies. Pirate Scum Gaming here. And tonight we are going to be taking a look at the brand new T6 Norway. This has been a long time fan requested ship. It is part of the Star Trek First Contact Borg killer fleet, along with the Akira, the Steamrunner, and the Saber. This is a very fast, powerful, and nimble little ship, and it absolutely delivers. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. First up is the Terran Task Force Phaser Dual Heavy Cannons from your Terran Task Force reputation. Surprise, surprise. The reason we're using this particular weapon is because damage dealt increases as target's hull decreases. Up to 200% damage at 25% hull. So the lower your enemy's hull gets, the more damage this does. Next is the Phaser Wide Angle Dual Heavy Beam Bank. This is from the Discovery reputation. This is part of Lorca's Ambition 3 set. And this also hits very hard. This is going to be among the top performers on your Parse, as you will see coming up here momentarily. These also do more damage the longer you're in combat, so that is very nice. Next is the Agony Phaser Dual Beam Banks. Now the reason I'm using these is these are the top performing phaser weapons in the game at the moment, right above the Pulse Phasers, which are my personal favorites. But however, for this particular instance, we are using these, because these deal just a little bit more damage. Next is the Dark Matter Quantum Torpedo. This is from your Discovery reputation. This is also part of the Lorca's Ambition 3 set. This is an all-around great torpedo. No matter what you're doing, science, torp boat, cannons, beams, this is the torpedo for you. This is very well-rounded. It does a lot of damage, and it plays really well with chemosite-laced weaponry, I must add. Next, from your colony holding, the Elite Fleet Intervention Protomatter Deflector. This does not cost very much, and it's a very, very powerful deflector because of the Coal Crit mod, plus 15% crit severity and 4% crit chance. Next is your Prevailing Innervated Impulse Engine from your competitive reputation. Now the reason we're using this one, this is the tactical variant, is this one works off of tactical firing modes. So whenever you activate a tactical firing mode, you get Prevailing Engine Overcharge. 350% flight speed and turn rate, a little bit of defense, and 10% increased recharge speed on tactical bridge officer abilities. So basically, when you activate a tactical firing mode, hold on for your teeth, because you're going to go very, very fast. This does take a little bit of getting used to, but once you get used to it, you're going to wonder, why have I not been using this before, and how have I gotten along without it? Next, Elite Fleet Plasma Integrated Warp Core. This is from your Fleet Spire holding. Plus 66% power transfer rate, and minus 10% weapon power cost. And that weapon power cost is important for beam overload, because beam overload does tend to chew up a lot of power. So you need ways to mitigate that. Next is the Tilly Review Pending Modified Shield. This comes also from the Discovery reputation. The reason you're using this is your weapon attacks cause enemy shields to receive 11.5% increased damage for 10 seconds based on shield power. Next is the Trilithium Enhanced Omnidirectional Phaser. This comes from Beyond the Nexus. The reason you're using this is because of the 2.5% chance to gain 10% firing cycle haste for energy weapons. As you know, beam overload slows down firing cycles, so you need ways to speed it back up to get the max benefit, and that's why we're using this. And last but not least, you have an omnidirectional Agony Phaser. You can buy these on the exchange, and reasons for the same reason we're using the dual beam banks. Experimental weapon is the Soliton Wave Impeller. Now, this ship does come with an experimental weapon, but from what I've seen, the Solid Wave Impeller still outperforms it. And this comes from the Ryzian Corvette. Now, I don't foresee anything passing this up as far as being the new meta, so I would highly recommend, if you have the Ryzian Corvette, use this experimental weapon. This works off of engine power, and it just does a lot of damage. For our devices, I am using a deuterium surplus. You can get this in your engineering R&D, but first you have to unlock it. So go into your mission journal, look up the Spectre's arc, run the episode Skirmish, then go south of Drozana, do the Alhena system patrol. After you do that, that unlocks this so you can make as many of these as your heart desires in your engineering R&D. Next is a reactive armor catalyst. This comes from the Broken Circle mission, and once you unlock this, you can also make as many of these as you want in your engineering R&D. Next is the energy amplifier. This comes from your beam R&D, unlocks at level 15. Universal console slot is the Lorca's custom fire controls, also known as the Lorcator. You're getting a bit of crit chance, some weapon power setting, and a nice chunky 157.5 Starship shield pen. And you heard me talk about shield pen before. The sooner you cut through shields, the sooner you're hitting hull and killing the enemy. So let's talk about the 3-piece. Okay, for the 2-piece, you have War Discretion on crit, plus 1% crit severity buff for 20 seconds, stacks up to 25 times. So that is an extra 25% crit severity. That's huge. And that 3-piece I was talking about. But that's just the beginning. This turns your Dark Matter Quantum Torpedo into a 360-degree firing weapon. So, little Dark Matter Quantum Torpedoes are going to shoot out of your ship, seeking out enemies that are below 50% health, and hitting them. Now, a nice thing about this particular thing is that when you're doing Khitomer Vortex and Dinatra decides to cloak and run away, these torpedoes will follow her, so you have an idea where she's going to decloak. That's a nice little thing that they put into there. I just discovered this out a few months ago, and it just absolutely blew my mind. So, there you go. Something new you learned. Engineering consoles. We have the Tachyon Net Drones. This comes from the Bozeman Intel Heavy Frigate. This creates the D20 of Doom. Passives are crit chance, 10% crit severity, some Starship perception, which but it's that D20 of Doom, that's the real deal. It knocks shields offline, it deals kinetic damage, and it allows you to hit the hull and kill enemies that much faster. I highly, highly, highly recommend running this ship. And not the ship, I recommend running this ship. I recommend running the console. It's been a long day, folks. Next is the Bioneuron Fusion Circuits. This comes from the Lobi store. This is one of the older Lobi consoles, and it's still effective, and I run it on all my builds. You get some hull capacity, which we'll talk about that later. Control expertise, but that helps with the controls that you're using. And a nice chunky 26.2% crit severity. Next is your Immolating Phaser Lance. This comes off of the Deimos Pilot Escort. This thing hits like a runaway freight train, folks. Big, red, angry beam of murder, death, kill. I can't put this over enough. This is just absolutely powerful and impressive. I highly recommend it. So if you're wondering what to get with your year-long campaign, get this ship so you can get this console. Next up is the Domino console from the Bajoran Interceptor. Its passives are okay, get some phaser damage and some accuracy, but it's the active that we're looking at. 25% firing cycle haste for energy weapons, 25% bonus all damage, 25% recharge speed for bridge officer abilities, and 100% recharge speed for torpedo weapons. So if you don't have this ship and you landed yourself an epic Phoenix token, get this ship. You will not be sorry. Next up is the M6 computer from the T3 Temporal Escort. You can get this at the ship vendor for about 75k dill. This console alone pays for itself. 15% bonus all damage, 25% cooldown reduction in tactical bridge officer abilities, and 20% firing cycle haste. Well worth it. Next up is weaponized helical torsion. This comes off the legendary Glenn. 15% phaser damage and 15% crit severity. Its active is okay, but it's the passive that we're using it for. Next up is the temporal trajectory shifter. This comes off of the Narendra or Voral support cruisers. Its passives are kind of meh, but it's the active that we want. For the enemy, weapon firing cycle is slowed by 33%, and ability cooldowns are slowed by 1% per second, and minus 50 defense rating. Now to you, weapon firing cycle is hastened by 50%, ability cooldowns are hastened by 20%. With that being said, I highly recommend you saving these for the big juicy targets, tac cubes, gateways, the ones that have a lot of hit points. That way you get the full benefit of this console. Tactical consoles are the phaser locators. These are from the Spire holding. Yeah, I've talked about these before. Nothing to talk about there. Hangars are the elite Valkyrie fighter squadrons. These things are impressive. I absolutely love these little fighters. This is from Star Trek Armada, another fan favorite fighter. And these things just hit hard. I can really say about it. I was impressed by these. I have a couple of dual hanger ships. I'm going to put these and the Alliance fighters on and just sit back and watch the chaos. I highly recommend you guys use these things. These are impressive. Although, warning, do not use these on a torpedo boat because these things will steal constant firepower charges. So, buyer beware with that. If you're planning on using these for a torpedo boat, don't. Because these will take your constant firepower charges and use them for themselves. And you don't want that. Okay, for skills, not much to talk about here. Same skill tree I've been using. Also, same specializations I've been using. Intel for the flanking and temporal operative for the cooldowns. Traits, you have a good day to die. If you're a tactical captain and you're not using this, you're doing yourself a great disservice. I highly recommend you give yourself a copy of this. This turns your go down fighting into a reusable buff. Next is Intelligent Agent Attaché. On weapon crit strike, restore 2% captain ability recharge. Very handy. Duelist Fervor, whenever you or a teammate kills something, 5% all damage for 10 seconds, and a little bit of accuracy there. Self-modulating fire, this is purely for shield pen on critical hits. Next we have Terran targeting systems, it's just crit severity, not much to talk about there. Unconventional systems, this is known as free DPS, folks. Using a control bridge officer ability gives you minus 7% recharge speed to universal consoles. This is very important. I know this has been given away a few times. I may give away a few copies of this myself in future streams, so keep an eye out for that. That's how important this is. Next is Fragment of AI Tech. Minus 20%. Plus 20% energy weapon damage based on control expertise, max 30% at 300 control expertise, plus 50 Starship control expertise. So yeah, this is a very powerful trait. Fleet Coordinator, plus 2% bonus all damage per team member, self-included, up to 10% on a 5-man team. So I highly recommend using this with a 5-man team. Next is Superior Beam Training. That's just bonus beam weapon damage. And last but not least, we have the Boimler effect. This is my primary means of cooldown. However, this does tend to misfire. You know, Boimler likes to slack off. You know, you've watched Lower Decks, you know how he gets. Fantasizing about writing about captain's logs and who knows what else. So I got a couple of duty officers there to keep him on task. They stand behind him, and he starts seeing him goof off. They just slap him upside the back of the head and tell him to pay attention. Next, Starship traits. We have Calm Before the Storm. This is from the Gamorrean Flight Deck Intel Carrier. Or Intel Cruiser, rather. While in combat, gain one Calm stack every 2 seconds. Each stack of Calm gives 5% bonus, 5% all damage resistance rating. At 10 stacks, gain Storm for 20 seconds. Removes all stack of Calm and gives you firing cycle haste and ability recharge speed for bridge officers. This is a great console to use for beam overload. Not console, but trait. I highly recommend it. Next is Overpowered and Over Again from the legendary Defiant. Minus weapon power cost and firing cycle haste. From the Morgu, the Arbiter, and the Kurak emergency weapon cycle. On use of emergency power to weapons. Minus 50% weapon power cost and 20% firing cycle haste. This is huge for energy weapon builds. So if you don't have the Arbiter or you have it laying around, you haven't done anything with it, stop what you're doing, go level it for this trait. You need it. It's that important. Next, preferential targeting. This comes from the NX refit or the legendary Columbia. After using beam fire at will or cannon scatter volley, plus 100% damage to beam overload and cannon rapid fire. Next is super weapon ingenuity. This comes from the Xindi Adalith Dreadnought. This is your beam overload extension trait. Folks, unfortunately, this is the only extension trait that is not either in Mud Store or the Sea Store. This is only currently available on the Exchange or in the Lobby Store. Now, I'm hoping that changes pretty soon because a lot of us are a little aggravated about that. So maybe, hopefully, we'll see this in Mud Store sooner rather than later. It's got to keep your fingers crossed. Until then, Lobby or Exchange. Next is Universal Designs. This comes off of the Crossfield refit. When activating a universal console, lasts for 20 seconds, stacks up to 5 times, plus 2% crit chance and 10% crit severity, and with the immolating phaser lance, you can guarantee that this stays up the entire run. Let's talk reputation. First up, we have magnified firepower. This comes from your Gamma reputation. Bonus weapon damage. From the Dyson rep, advanced targeting systems, plus 20% crit severity. From your temporal rep, controlled countermeasures, bonus energy weapon damage on controlled and projectile weapon damage on controlled targets. And in ISE, you're going to have controlled targets, believe me. Tyler's duality. This is where that hull capacity comes into play. Plus 5% crit chance based on hull capacity at the time. Max 7.5% at 200,000 hull. So, the higher your hull percentage is, the higher this is going to be. Now you can temporarily boost this with things like prototype ablative Jevanite hardpoints, which increases your hull capacity. So that gives this a nice buff. Next, precision from a new Romulus rep, crit chance. Alright, that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at my bridge officer stations. Alright, as you can see, I am running pretty much all SROs and Jem'Hadar Vanguard. First up here, Aratadar here is my Jem'Hadar engineer. For him, I'm using Intel abilities, Viral Impulse Burst, and Electromagnetic Pulse Probe. These are Uncon procs. We have Datsa here, my one tactical officer, Chemosite Laced Weaponry, the radiation explosions, and this plays very well with the Dark Matter Quantum Torpedo, like I said. Cannon Scatter Volley, this procs preferential targeting, as well as that Terran Dual Heavy Cannon. Beam Overload, the main event. And just for a little extra spice, since this is also a command seat, Call Emergency Artillery. Yeah, artillery vessels hit stupid hard as well. Also, I have Sizamak. He is my other tactical officer. He is distributed targeting to get that beam overload bouncing around a little bit, and torp spread for the dark matter quantum torpedoes. Rusek is my other engineering officer. He is in charge of emergency powered engines and emergency powered weapons. And last but not least, we have Tanarala. This is my science officer. Tractor beam, scramble sensors, and gravity well. These are all uncon procs. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 uncon procs on this. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at duty officer. Next up is Toygik, my energy weapon officer. Chance for stacking crit chance, buff on firing energy weapons. We have Marinaris, my projectile weapon officer. Chance for stacking crit chance on firing projectiles. We have Fanet, another one of my energy weapon officers. Beam overload gets a chance for 35% shield pen. Old 2447 here. I don't have any miracle worker abilities, so I'm not getting anything from that, but I'm getting this. On use of tactical abilities, 15% chance. Set power levels to maximum for 5 seconds. I've seen this proc quite a bit. This is old 42 of 47. He is one of my Boimler backups. On use of TAC, 15% chance to reduce intelligence bridge officer ability cooldown by 50%. Good lord, I can't talk tonight. On use of Intel, vice versa for tactical. Also my Boimler backup, we have 33 of 47. On use of engineering abilities, 15% chance to reduce command, and vice versa. So literally, these two are standing on the bridge behind Boimler. Boimler starts to slack off. They both crack him beside the back of the head, tell him to pay attention. Okay, that about does it for the overall build. Let's do a quick beauty shot tour of this fine ship. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but the name of this ship is the USS Edward T. Head. And for those Iron Maiden fans out there, Edward T. Head is the official band mascot. And tell a little secret, I am a huge Iron Maiden fan. So, yeah, there you go. Okay, so let's go on and move to that ISE with the follow-up Parse Explanation. So I will catch you on the flip side. Welcome back from that ISE. We really sent the Borg running to the hills, if you know what I mean. Let's go ahead and dive right into this. I am, of course, at James Bryce, and the Norway did for me 525.9k. That is really impressive. I am very happy with that, considering that was the first time out with that ship. I had not tested it prior. I am very happy with that. Also along for the ride was at Input and my good friend. He was DPS for the run, did 352.9. Great job, Input. Very nice. Doing control for me was at Mikey213, also known as Mad Dog Mikey. Go check him out on Twitch. Go check him out on YouTube. Smash that subscribe button like it owes you money. And ring that bell nice and hard. That way you guys get notified when Mikey drops more of his great content or when he goes live. 300k. Very nice, Mikey. At Lord Ice. This is my tanking student. He was tank for the run and did his usual great job. 89% damage in, 86% attacks in. Great job, Ice. You keep on impressing me. I couldn't be prouder of you, man. Also along for the ride on DPS was my good friend at Talon, pulling in a respectable 158.93k. Great job, Talon. Proud of you. So let's go ahead and dive into this and see what did what. Okay, as predicted, the max one hit of the run did come the phaser wide-angle dual heavy beam bang, just like I said. 570.5k. Emulating phaser lines also had a very healthy performance at 442, as predicted. Dark Matter Quantum Torpedo did very well for itself. This is one of my Agony Omnis. On Overload, however, Phaser Dual Beaming Overload, that did nice. I'm very happy with that. Happy with these numbers. Phaser Ray Overload 3, this is the Trilithium. Solid Talon Wave Impeller did very good for itself. So yeah, overall this did very well. I'm very pleased with this ship's performance. I'm overwhelmingly happy with this build, with the overall build itself. My tongue stops working. Ugh. Let's see, we have distributed targeting here. Attacking on net drones, vulnerability exploited. Grab all three. It procs quite often. So let's go ahead and look at the pets. Elite Valkyrie Fighter Squadron. 5k DPS, 5k DPS, just about 5, just about 5. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. Even my artillery vessels came in very nice. So yeah, I have to say these fighter squadrons do a hell of a lot of damage. Artillery vessels here, oh, look at this, 7k. So yeah, I wouldn't lie when I said these artillery vessels and these new Valkyries do very well for themselves. They hit hard. I am very happy with that. Alright, so overall impression, the Norway is a great ship. It hits hard, it's fast, it's maneuverable. If you like flying that kind of ship, I recommend it overwhelmingly. I'm going to probably fly this ship a lot in the next few weeks, just so I can get a better handle on it. I overwhelmingly like the ship. It's designed beautifully. Thomas really did a great job designing it. So overall, great performance, great ship. I give it 2 thumbs way up. And with that being said, as always, don't go by the book, think like a pirate, and I will catch you next time.
Human! Play, Damjat! Human!